She sat on the bathroom floor at 2 in the morning, not crying, not screaming, just sitting there, back against the cold tub, knees pulled to her chest. The kind of quiet that isn't peaceful at all. It's the quiet of someone who has run completely out of ideas. Her marriage had ended, her job was gone, her confidence, the kind she'd spent 30 years carefully building, had somehow vanished too. And in that moment on that cold tile floor, she did something she hadn't done in years. She stopped. She stopped trying to figure it out, stopped trying to fix it, stopped replaying the 100 things she could have done differently. She just sat there in the middle of the mess, in the middle of the not knowing. And something very strange happened. She told me later, and I still think about this, she said, I felt more like myself in that moment than I had in years. Not because anything was resolved, not because the pain went away, but because for the first time in a very long time, she stopped fighting herself. And that, my friend, is what I want to talk to you about today. I wonder if you've ever had a moment like that. Maybe not on a bathroom floor. Maybe it was in your car, parked outside your house, not quite ready to go in, or lying awake at 3 in the morning, staring at the ceiling. That familiar loop playing again in your mind. That voice that says, something is wrong with me. I need to fix this. I need to be different. I need to be better. We live in a world that is absolutely convinced that we are problems to be solved. There are apps for fixing your anxiety, podcasts for fixing your mindset, courses for fixing your habits, your productivity, your relationships, your body, your sleep, your self-worth. And I'm not saying those things are bad. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with wanting to grow. But here's the thing I've been sitting with for a long time now, and maybe you have too. Somewhere underneath all that striving, what if the constant effort to fix yourself is actually the thing keeping you stuck? What if the war you're waging against your own experience, the war against your anxiety, your sadness, your fear, your messy and imperfect humanness, what if that war is the suffering? Not the feelings themselves, but the fighting. I want to explore that with you today, gently, slowly, without any pressure to arrive anywhere in particular. Because you, exactly as you are right now, tired, maybe a little lost, maybe a little bruised, you don't need fixing. You need something far more radical than that. There is a story I love about a young student who went to a wise teacher and said, I have been meditating for 3 years. I have been working so hard on myself. I've read all the books. I've done all the practices, but I still get angry. I still get afraid. I still feel like something is fundamentally wrong with me. What am I doing wrong? And the teacher looked at the student for a long moment. And then she smiled, the kind of smile that holds both warmth and a little mischief. And she said, you're doing it too hard. The student blinked. Too hard? Yes, the teacher said. You're trying to destroy the darkness, but you can't destroy the darkness. You can only bring in the light. Now, I've always loved that, but I want to take it even one step further, because I think there's something even more tender being pointed at here. It's not just that we can't destroy the darkness, it's that the darkness, the fear, the grief, the shame, the confusion, isn't actually the enemy. It never was. Think about this for a moment. Think about what it feels like to be anxious. Really sit with it. That tightness in the chest, that low hum of dread, that sense that something terrible is about to happen even when nothing is. Now, what do we usually do with that? We try to make it stop, we distract ourselves, we scroll, we eat, we drink, we call someone, we make a plan, we analyze where the anxiety came from, we tell ourselves we shouldn't feel this way, we remind ourselves of all the reasons we have to be grateful. We try to breathe it away, think it away, meditate it away, exercise it away, and sometimes those things help a little for a little while. But has it ever fully worked? Has the anxiety ever just gone permanently, for good? Or does it keep coming back? maybe wearing a slightly different outfit each time, but still unmistakably itself? I think most of us, if we're honest, would say, yes, it keeps coming back, and every time it comes back, there's this added layer of defeat, this feeling of, I thought I dealt with this, what's wrong with me, why can't I just be okay? And that layer, that judgment we pile on top of the original feeling, that's where things get truly painful. The anxiety itself is one thing, but the anxiety about the anxiety, the shame about the fear, the frustration with the sadness, that's where we really start to suffer. There's a teaching I come back to again and again, and it goes like this. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is what happens when we fight the pain. Now, I know that sounds almost too simple, maybe even a little annoying when you're in the middle of something hard. I remember the first time someone said something like that to me, I wanted to throw something at them. But stay with me, because this isn't about being passive. It's not about giving up or pretending things are fine when they're not. It's about something much more subtle, much more courageous, actually. It's about the possibility of meeting your experience, all of it, the ugly and the beautiful and the in-between, with something other than war. What if you met it with curiosity instead? What if the next time you noticed that familiar tightening in your chest, instead of immediately trying to make it stop, you got just a little bit curious about it, not analyzing it, not trying to trace it back to your childhood or figure out its deeper meaning, just noticing it, the way you might notice an interesting cloud formation. Oh, look, there it is again. Hello. I know that sounds almost absurdly simple, and maybe even a little strange, but there is something quietly revolutionary that happens when we stop treating our feelings like enemies. They begin to move. Feelings, it turns out, are not meant to be permanent. They're visitors. They arise, they move through us, and when we stop gripping them, stop fighting them, and also stop clinging to them, they pass. The problem is, when we fight them, we freeze them in place. We give them something to push against, and they dig in and make themselves at home. You are not broken. I want to say that again more slowly. You are not broken. You are a human being. And human beings are not meant to be smooth and polished and consistently at peace. We were never meant to be that. That is not what we are. We are creatures who feel things deeply, wildly, inconveniently. We grieve, we rage, we fall in love and lose love. We get scared, we make mistakes. We wake up some mornings feeling like we have absolutely no idea who we are or what we're doing here. That is not a malfunction. That is the texture of being alive. And here is the thing that nobody tells you, the thing that I think is actually the most important thing, the moments when you feel most shattered, most lost, most groundless. Those are often the moments right at the edge of something opening. Not because suffering is good, not because pain is something to seek out, but because when we've run out of all our usual strategies, when none of our fixing and managing and controlling is working anymore, that's when we're finally available for something different. That is when real change actually has a chance to happen. So what does this look like in practice? Because I don't want this to stay beautiful and abstract. I want it to be something you can actually use today on this ordinary and perhaps difficult day. The first thing I'd invite you to try is this. The next time you notice a difficult feeling arising, anxiety, loneliness, anger, that low-grade sadness that doesn't seem to have a source, instead of immediately reaching for a distraction or a solution, try pausing just for a moment, just long enough to notice where you feel it in your body. Because difficult emotions always live in the body before they live in the mind. There's a place in your chest or your stomach or your throat where the feeling is actually located. See if you can find it. And then, instead of trying to change it, just acknowledge it. You can even say something quietly to yourself like, this is what fear feels like right now. This is what grief feels like right now. Not as a judgment, just as a simple, honest observation. That small act of recognition, of saying I see you to your own experience, is a radical act of self-compassion. And it is the opposite of what most of us have been taught to do. The second thing I want to offer you is what I think of as beginning again, and this is maybe my favorite teaching of all because it requires no special conditions, no good mood, no spiritual experience, no moment of clarity. Every single moment is a chance to begin again, not from scratch, not pretending the past didn't happen, but just turning back toward yourself with a little more kindness than you had a moment ago. You snapped at someone you love. Begin again. You spent 2 hours scrolling when you meant to rest. Begin again. You've been hard on yourself all day, picking yourself apart, replaying your failures. Begin again, not with a lecture, not with a reminder of all the things you need to do differently, just with a soft, quiet gesture of return, like a door that's always open, like a fire that never goes completely out. The practice of beginning again is not about getting it right. It's about the willingness to keep showing up to yourself with as much tenderness as you can manage, even just a little, even if it's just a fraction of what you'd offer a child or a dear friend. Which brings me to something I think about often. We are so much harder on ourselves than we would ever dream of being to someone we love. If your best friend called you in tears and said, I can't stop feeling anxious, I feel broken, something is wrong with me, what would you say to her? You wouldn't say, you're right, you should have fixed this by now, what's wrong with you? You'd say something kind, something true. You'd probably say something like, oh, sweetheart, I know this is hard, you're not broken, you're just going through something hard. What if you said that to yourself? Not as a trick, not as positive thinking, but as a genuine, honest recognition that you are a person who is struggling, and struggling people deserve kindness, including you, especially you. There's a beautiful way of understanding the mind that I find endlessly helpful, and it goes like this. You are the sky. Everything else, every thought, every emotion, every mood, every moment of fear or grief or confusion or joy, all of that is the weather. The weather changes. Always. Sometimes it's a violent storm. Sometimes it's a gray, heavy overcast that seems like it will never lift. Sometimes it's one of those perfect blue October mornings that makes your heart ache with how beautiful everything is. But the sky doesn't become the weather. The sky holds the weather. It allows the weather. It doesn't fight it, doesn't try to force only sunny days. It's just there, vast, patient, unchanged at its core, even while the most dramatic storms are passing through. You are like that. There is a part of you, maybe you've felt it in rare, quiet moments, that is not the anxiety, not the sadness, not the fear, that watches these things move through without being destroyed by them. That's what we're pointing at when we talk about not fixing yourself. Not that your feelings don't matter, not that growth isn't real, but that underneath all of it, underneath all the weather, you are already whole. You have always been whole. I want to tell you about a practice that changed things for me, and I share it in the hope that it might be useful for you too. It's very simple, almost embarrassingly simple. When things feel overwhelming, when the noise in your head is very loud, when you feel yourself bracing against your own experience, try placing one hand on your heart. Just that, just the warmth of your own hand on your own chest. And take one breath, not a special breath, not a perfect, deep, cleansing, purifying breath, just a breath. And notice you're still here. Whatever is happening, you're still here, still breathing, still present. The heart under your hand is still beating. That is enough. That is actually genuinely enough. Not as a stopping point, not as a reason to give up on growing or changing or healing, but as a foundation, as a place to return to when all the striving and fixing and managing has worn you out. You are still here. That is not a small thing. So here we are at the end of this time together, and I want to leave you with something I hope you'll carry forward, not as another thing to do, not as another item on the self-improvement list, but as a quiet possibility. What if this is the year you put down the project of fixing yourself? Not permanently, not forever, just for today, just for this moment. What if, instead of approaching yourself as a problem to be solved, you approached yourself the way you might approach a very dear, very tired, very sincere friend who has been trying so hard for so long? With patience, with humor, because sometimes the things we take most seriously about ourselves are genuinely a little funny, with a kind of steady, unconditional warmth that doesn't require you to be anything other than exactly what you are. Because here is what I believe with my whole heart, and I say it not from theory but from what I've witnessed in people again and again, including in myself. Real transformation doesn't come from fighting yourself into a better shape. It comes from such deep acceptance of where you are, such honest, kind, clear-eyed presence with your own experience that you stop being in the way of your own life. You stop spending all your energy on the war. And when the war stops, there is so much energy left for living, for loving, for being curious and open and genuinely present in this one strange and precious life you've been given. You are not a project. You are a person, and you are already and always enough. If any part of this touched something in you today, I want you to know that recognition, that small resonance you felt, that was your own wisdom recognizing itself. Trust that. And if you'd like to keep exploring these ideas together, I'd love to have you here. There's a whole community of people walking the same path, not toward perfection, but toward a kinder, more honest, more tender relationship with themselves and with life. Come back whenever you need to. Bring all of it, the mess and the beauty, the confusion and the clarity. You are always welcome here.